evening and a very warm welcome. This is Primetime News on TV1. It's the 3rd of December 2023. For the Newsfirst team, I am Theruni Karunaratna. Before we head on to your stories in detail, let's first take a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
As Udayana discount, enjoy up to 70% off from Ragama.
All factions must unite in a collective battle against climate change. President tells COP28. Majority of state sector employees are satisfied with the 2024 budget allocations. Director General of Trade Unions to the President says. Will launch trade union actions if relief is not provided. State and public service union stresses. CEB did not consider hydropower generation when increasing electricity tariffs. Former PUCSL chief reveals. Advice from the Mihintale Mahavihar's chief incumbent to the new acting IGP. Probation center warden arrested over death of 15-year-old child.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
As Udayana discount, enjoy up to 70% off from Ragama.
In your top story for tonight, President Ranil Wickremesinghe said that the Climate Justice Forum is a step to unite all factions in a collective battle against climate change. The President made these comments at the UN Climate Change Conference or COP28 in Dubai, UAE.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe presented the Climate Justice Forum at COP28. The President was joined by figures including former President of the Maldives, Mohamed Nasheed, the Minister of Health of Uganda, Dr. Asing Jane Ruth, and the Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme, Igne Anderson.
Most of us have seen the film Titanic. Titanic hit the iceberg. They were not aware of it. Everyone was dining and whining. The band was playing and they were dancing. As the ship went down, they kept on dancing. But the band at least realized what was happening and at last played Nearer My God to Thee. I hope and I want to ensure, we all want to ensure that the globe doesn't end that way. We have discovered the iceberg. We've seen the iceberg. Now all we have to do is to avoid that iceberg. Then you can come into New York Harbor with the band playing What a Wonderful World. So this is what we have to achieve. And this is where the Climate Justice Forum is of use. For those who went down were not in the first class, but who went third class, like all of us. This is the first move to get everyone committed to contributing and helping. And I have asked not only the Minister of Environment, but the Minister of Foreign Affairs to spearhead to get this resolution passed. What do you do after that? Let's first get this passed. If it's not passed, there is no after that. So our first focus is in getting it passed and get international support. We will have the discussions. We will have plans. Now next, what do we do? After World War II, when the whole global economy was in disarray, the US and UK came up with the institute, the International Monetary Fund. That has from that day onwards guided and been responsible for the global monetary system, good or bad, both. Now what are we having? We are having a disaster which is going to be worse than World War II. That is going to be child's play compared to what we are going to face. But we still have no separate institution with their speciality. We haven't got that. So we need these institutions. We are putting one in place for capacity building, studies and research. But you need your own institution where the international agencies will also be able to have one agreed course of action. Let us not go down the way of Titanic, because now the people who go down to look at Titanic also did. Let us finish our journey and let's get together. The first thing is to get the CJF passed. Once you do that, we can do the rest.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe also officially launched the International Climate Change University today. The president emphasized the necessity of institutional changes following the Paris Climate Agreement and highlighted the absence of alternative bodies to effectively tackle the ongoing climate crisis.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe held discussions with Bill Gates on the sidelines of the COP28 summit today. The discussions revolved around collaborative efforts to address global challenges and enhance Sri Lanka's pivotal role in the world's tropical belt. During the meeting, Gates expressed the commitment of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to support Sri Lanka in building a robust and climate-resilient nation. The discussions also focused on agriculture modernization and the establishment of data systems for agriculture. The collaboration also aims to strengthen digital public infrastructure and enhance Sri Lanka's expertise in climate and adaptation.
Director General of Trade Unions to the President, Saman Ratnapriya, said that the majority of state sector employees are satisfied with the concessions given in the 2024 budget.
A conference was held in Anuradhapura yesterday under the theme "We are heading to Rajarata" to discuss the budget.
On
one hand, this is a miracle. Multiple political fractions are expressing multiple views on the budget under the guise of trade unions, demanding for 20,000, 30,000 and 50,000 rupees. But majority of the state sector employees and other people are satisfied with the budget. That is why you barely see anyone on the streets anymore. The trade union actions are a fail. The people have understood that the allocation is enough.
The State and Public Service Union said that they will take action if proper relief is not provided to state sector employees considering the economic situation in the country.
What
we asked for was at least 20,000 for our day-to-day expenses. You recommended 10,000 instead of 20,000 rupees. But that is for April next year. We are warning the government that 10,000 rupees must be included in the January salary. The President must give us a proper brief on this in Parliament. We will collectively go on sick leave on December 12th. Not only that, we would like to tell the government if the 10,000 rupees is not included in the January salary, we will go on a collective trade union action from the 26th of January. This is our message to the government. Those retiring after January will not receive that 5,000 rupees because of their lies. The government played a similar game in 2016. If the government is not willing to understand what we are saying, then get ready to go home after the 25th of January. The current situation is quite unfortunate. They are ruining the state sector. Very soon the country will not have enough institutions providing employment for the people. The poor people will be left helpless. Everyone must understand this situation.
People gathered at the Thimbirigasyaya junction once again today, demanding solutions to multiple issues in Sri Lanka.
These are citizens of our country who have been fighting tirelessly for the fundamental rights of us. These people come together every single week for more than a year now to demand for a fair cost of living and to end corruption in our country. They're demanding for a reduction in fuel prices, electricity prices, gas prices and the ever-increasing cost of living. From the start of the economic crisis, many demonstrations have been attacked and there have been attempts of suppression made. But these people unite together every week to make sure that the voice of the common man is heard.
The group continued their demand for multiple unresolved issues in Sri Lanka owing to the economic crisis that began in 2022.
Things seem to be going from bad to worse. Some people seem to think the savior has come and rescued our country, but we don't believe that. We stand here for all of you out there. We are not asking anybody to go home. All we want is better governance to get our country back on track. So we really need to get the correct people in place to rescue our country and get it back on track. Thank you.
Well, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, we are asking you now, 1.5 years later, especially when about 2 weeks ago, when the courts gave a ruling saying that the Rajapaksas and Niwad Cabral and some others are directly responsible for the economic downfall of Sri Lanka and its bankruptcy. Not even 2 days after that, we saw you in the media going to celebrate former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's birthday, cutting the cake with him, singing happy birthday with him. You expect us to believe that you're not a friend of the Rajapaksas and you're a friend of the people?
What we are doing is standing up for everybody, and we really see a renowned interest in this protest. We will carry on until we see justice.
So people have asked for change, not more of the same. This guy is worse than the Rajapaksas, and he's only there to protect them, and that's the whole reason they have gone and reappointed Deshabandhu. We're never ever going to see the truth ever coming out.
Leader of the Jatika Jana Balawega, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, said that although the current economic situation is terrifying, a determined movement can overcome it. He expressed these views while addressing the Kegaul District Retired Armed Forces Collective.
මේ 2024 ආණ්ඩුව අපේක්ෂා කරන රජයේ ආදායම රුපියල් බිලියන 4164යි.
The state revenue the government is expecting for the next year is 4.164 trillion, but the expenditure is 11.277 trillion. What are they getting? Only 4.164 trillion, but they have to pay 11.277 trillion. There is a gap of over 7 trillion. Isn't that scary? You should be scared when you look at this economy. More than 30% of the apparel industry has collapsed. Medical professionals are leaving the country. We don't have enough university lecturers. This is concerning. Some ask us, are we not worried to take on the responsibility? But we are certain that we can solve this crisis and will take on all responsibility. It is that certainty that prepares us to take on this responsibility. This is a campaign to rebuild our nation. You can't achieve that by replacing presidents or ministers.
රට ගොඩ ගන්න ව්‍යාපාරය. එහෙම නැතුව එක නායකයෙක් වෙනකොට තව නායකයෙක් වාඩි කරවලා එක ඇමතියෙක් වෙනකොට තව ඇමතියෙක් පත් කරලා මේ වැඩේ කරන්න බෑ.
Former chairman of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka, Janaka Ratnayaka, says that the forecast of the Ceylon Electricity Board's cost of 575 billion rupees this year is accurate, and that therefore the increase in electricity tariffs based on the forecast of 720 billion rupees is unreasonable.
අපේක්ෂිත ආදායම තිබ්බේ ලංකා විදුලි මණ්ඩලයට බිලියන 570ක පමණ ප්‍රමාණය.
The expected revenue for the CEB was approximately 570 billion rupees. The expenditure is so far 538 billion rupees. We only have 1 month remaining. The forecast for this month is that there will be an expenditure of about 38 to 40 billion rupees. Accordingly, the total expenditure of the CEB this year is approximately 575 billion rupees. By increasing the electricity tariffs unfairly, they expect more than 700 billion this year. That means they are trying to increase the revenue and decrease the expenditure by a significant margin. If you look at the past 3 quarters, there was an operational profit of 75 billion. Then how do they incur losses? They have paid 45 billion to the Bank of Ceylon and the People's Bank, another cost in billions. We need to have depreciation. The combination of these two is the main reason for the loss of operating profit. As of last month, 45 billion has been paid in interest due to loans. This is the loss of the CB.
පහක ප්‍රමාණයක් ණය ගැනීම නිසා පොලිය ගෙවලා තියෙනවා. මේක තමයි CB ආයතනයේ අලාභය.
Even though the decisions of the Ceylon Electricity Board, which is a leading enterprise in the country, boasting a profit of approximately 700 billion rupees, are taken by engineers, this document clearly shows that there is absolutely no logic behind these decisions taken by CEB engineers. This document confirms that there seems to be no engineering logic behind the thoughtless decisions of the board. This letter was sent by the Director General of the PUCSL on the 27th of November to the General Manager of the CEB. On Tuesday, Action TV confirmed a concerning prediction made by this letter. The prediction was that at the end of the year, the CEB would earn a profit of 48 billion rupees. The General Manager of the CEB has informed the PUCSL on the 16th of November that the annual profit of the CEB stands at approximately 11 billion rupees. But the General Manager's statement of the annual profit of 11 billion can be dismissed as a lie because during the time period between the 4th of September and the 14th of October, the General Manager himself has on 3 occasions said that the annual profit of the CEB will stand at 57 billion, 30 billion and 18 billion respectively. Therefore, there is ample evidence to suggest that the PUCSL forecast of an annual profit of 48 billion is accurate. But even though the Commission's forecast was based on accurate data, the Director General of the PUCSL, through his letter dated 27th November, requested clarity from the CEB regarding 3 points. The first point was that hydropower generation was not considered in the electricity tariffs hike recommendations made by the CEB from the 4th of September to the 17th of October. The Director General has pointed out that the CEB has failed to include the vital piece of information in their recommendations in a situation where the Department of Meteorology has already submitted a forecast on the potential rainfall. The second question posed by the Director General is related to the unusual hike in expenditure of the CEB. According to the Sri Lanka Electricity Act, the electricity tariffs should be set in order to recover the costs of the CEB and not for unjust enrichment. The fifth provision of the Electricity Act states that the electricity price should be set in a way that does not cause any hindrance to the development of a sustainable economy. Is it wrong to request for a Parliamentary Select Committee to investigate the conduct of the engineers in the CEB who are in continuous breach of these provisions of the Sri Lanka Electricity Act? Prime Minister, this is over to you.
Newsfirst with the people.
Acting Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakon visited multiple places of worship this morning and obtained blessings.
Acting Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakon visited the St. James the Great's Church in Mahavar this morning. The acting IGP engaged in religious observances and received blessings. He also visited the Christ Church in Mahavar. He also made a donation to the family of a 7-year-old girl who lost her life in Vallampitia recently after a wall of the Veheragoda Kanishta Vidyalaya collapsed. Dry ration packages were also distributed among low-income families, while school books and other supplies were distributed among students.
කොළඹ නගරය සහ කොළඹ ප්‍රදේශය ආවට තියෙන ප්‍රදේශවල ප්‍රජාපොලිස් කමිටුවල ඉන්න අතිවිශාල කතෝලික බැතිමත් අපේ සමාජික මහත්මයා.
Many in the Catholic community from Colombo have requested me to visit and obtain blessings from the churches. So many of them have supported us to eliminate crime and ensure security in the country. We are very grateful for that.
හවුල් කරන්න අපරාධ අඩු කරන්න අපිට එක අත්වල බඳගෙන හිටපු කතෝලික බැතිමතුන් විශාල පිරිසක් අපි සමග හෘදයාංගම එකතු වෙලා අපිට සුබවතන් හිටපුවා. මේ සියලු දෙනාටම ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා.
Acting Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakon visited the historic Mihintale Rajamahaviharaya today. The acting IGP called on the chief incumbent of the Mihintale Rajamahaviharaya, Venerable Dr. Valava Hengunavave Dhammaratana Thera, and obtained blessings.
National security is priority. I don't know if you can eradicate the drug menace because even the parliament is full of drug consumers and smugglers. The politicians without discipline must be held responsible for this. Everyone in the ruling and opposition fractions. If you can do that, you will be the king of the country. We must be sensitive when carrying out such operations as well. People don't launch hartals, protests or fasts because they are crazy. They do it to ensure their fundamental rights are not violated. We must not attack them with tear gas. People then exert this pressure in other ways. As religious leaders, we request you to fix this issue.
Relatives of a 15-year-old child who had died in a probation center in Kalmune held a demonstration opposite the Kokuville police station today.
The group held the demonstration along with the remains of the 15-year-old child opposite the Cockowell police station. The child had died after he was assaulted at the probation centre in Kalmunay. He was a resident of Cockowell. Newsfirst correspondent reported that the child had dropped out of school after 9th grade due to the economic situation in the country. He was arrested over theft at a Coville on the 16th of November and was later produced before the Batticaloa Magistrate Court on the 17th of November and detained at a probation centre. According to information obtained by the police, the remains of the child was handed over on the 30th of November. The remains were taken to the Ashraf Hospital in Kalmunay and later handed over to the Ampara Base Hospital for a post-mortem examination. The post-mortem revealed that the child had died from blunt force trauma to the chest. The warden of the probation centre had later surrendered to the police, taking responsibility for the incident. The remains of the child were handed over to his relatives last night.
මේ සිදුවීමට අදාළව තවදුරටත් යම්කිසි පුද්ගලයෙක් සම්බන්ධ වෙලා ඉන්නවා නම් මේ ඝාතනයට සම්බන්ධ වෙලා ඉන්නවා නම් ඊට අදාළව යම්කිසි චෝදනාවක් එල්ල කරන්න පුළුවන් පුද්ගලයෙක් සාක්ෂි අනුව අනාවරණය වුණොත් ඔවුන්වත් අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීමට කටයුතු කරනු ලබනවා.
News first with the people.
The closing ceremony of the sacred consecration of the Ambulagala Sri Dantapaya Ragama Vihara, which sheltered the sacred Dalada relic, was held this morning.
The sacred ceremony of the consecration of the Ambulagala Sri Dantapaya Ragama Vihara, which sheltered the sacred Dalada relic, was held on the Ilpoya day. Since then, for 6 days, many religious ceremonies were held, focusing on the Ambulagala Sri Dantapaya Ragama Vihara under the patronage of the chief incumbent of the historic Kuragala Ragama Vihara, Venerable Waturakumbure Damratana Thera. The closing ceremony of the sacred consecration of the Ambulagala Sri Dantapaya Ragama Vihara saw the participation of the chief incumbent of the Kalaniya Ragama Vihara, Venerable Kollupitiya Mahinda Sangarakita Thera, former President Maithripala Sirisena, Minister of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs Vidra Vikramanayaka, Chief of Defence Staff Shavendra Silva, Acting Inspector General of Police Deshabanu Tenakun, and the CEO of MTV Channel Private Limited, Attorney Susara Dinal. A commemorative plaque was also unveiled.
Taru paid discounts. Enjoy up to 30% off on frames and sunglasses this Christmas with Vikramarachi Opticians.
181 students of the Faculty of Medicine in Ragama who were reported missing during a hike in the Hanthana mountain range have been rescued. The Hanthana mountain range lies in the central highlands of Sri Lanka, southwest of Kandy. The height of the range is about 3,800 feet. 4 routes lead to this mountain range that is also the source of water to the Garandioya, Mahavar, Golloya, Dodamoya and Kudaoya. They are the access to Sri Lanka Airwagon Corporation Broadcasting Station, the road via Udawalawe Hanthana Tea Estate, the road via Mahakanda University and the Galaha Deltota Road via Peradeniya leading to Deltota.
The students of the Faculty of Medicine in Ragama began their journey near the University of Peradeniya. Their guides were 2 students from the University of Peradeniya. The journey began at about 11 am yesterday, but the mountain range began to look misty at least by 5 pm owing to the rainy condition in the area, ending up in the group taking the wrong route. The students had contacted the emergency police hotline later. Police and army then launched a rescue operation to locate the missing students. The rescue operation that began at 11 pm continued until about 4 am.
අපිට පාර වැරදුනා. මෙහෙම යන්නත් පල්ලහට ගියා. ඊපස්සේ පොඩ්ඩක් නැවතලා බලාගෙන හිටියා. දැන් කොහෙද යන්නේ කියලා හරියට ඉන්ස්ට්‍රක්ෂන්ස් යන්නත් ආයෙ ගිහිල්ලා වැඩ.
කවුද ගයිඩ් කරේ? පෙරදෙනේ කැම්පස් එකෙන් ගයිඩ් කරා කවුද?
ඒක මම හරියට දන්නේ නැහැ. මම පිටිපස්සේ හිටියේ ඒකයි එහෙම හැරලා හරි පාර කිව්වම එන්න පුළුවන්.
5 of the students were directed to the Kandy National Hospital for treatment, but their conditions were not serious. The Disaster Management Centre warned that people must be vigilant of the weather situation due to the prevailing rainy conditions. Director of the DMC requested the people to avoid such journeys if possible.
Two tuskers have died in 2 separate incidents in Karwalagaswava and Sevanuara.
2 tuskers have died after being electrocuted in 2 separate incidents in Karwalagaswava and Sevanuara in the Puttalam district. The tuskers who died were Walagamba and Wasula. According to local reports, the lifeless tuskers were discovered on private lands. Police have recorded statements from the landowners in connection to the incident. The deaths of these tuskers have raised concerns about the human-elephant conflict as well. Meanwhile, a father and a daughter had also died after being electrocuted in Pusallava last week.
The Met Department has issued a red alert for strong winds and rough seas as the deep depression over the southwest Bay of Bengal intensified into a cyclonic storm. The cyclonic storm has been named Meghjom. It is expected to move northwestward near the north coast of Sri Lanka towards the north Tamil Nadu coast of India. Thereafter, it would move northwards and cross South Andhra Pradesh coasts on Tuesday. Newsfirst Malshanana Kara spoke to former director of the Cyclone Warning Centre in Chennai, S.R. Ramanan, in an exclusive interview on Cyclone Meghjom.
What impacts do you think that this storm has for the country, has for both India and Sri Lanka?
October, November, December are the 3 months in which Tamil Nadu used to get rainfall because of the northeast winds, and even Sri Lanka used to get it on January, February also. This season the bay was less active, so not much systems formed over bay to give rain of Tamil Nadu. Still South Tamil Nadu got more rain relative compared to North Tamil Nadu, mainly because of the convergence of air and sometimes easterly waves coming of that sort. But recently the bay has become active and one low pressure formed somewhere in South Andaman Sea during the last few days back. Now today it has reached the level of a cyclonic storm. This system is expected to move in a west-northwesterly direction close to Chennai. It will be some 110 kilometers away from Chennai. It won't go towards Chennai. And afterwards it was expected to move north and expected to move across the South Andhra Pradesh coast between Nellore and Machilipatnam. That was expected by forenoon of tomorrow. The wind speeds of the order of 90 to 100 kilometers, reaching even 110 kilometers is expected when the storm is likely to cross in the South Andhra coast. Because of that, torrential rain is expected over North Tamil Nadu and South Andhra coast during this period. And wind speeds, surface winds also will be high in these areas.
A grand festival marking 70 years of diplomatic ties between Sri Lanka and Germany was held yesterday.
The German embassy in Colombo hosted a grand festival at the Golface Green yesterday, marking 70 years of diplomatic ties between Sri Lanka and Germany. German ambassador to Sri Lanka Felix Neumann, State Minister of Foreign Affairs Taraka Balasuriya, former President Maithripala Sirisena and former Speaker Karu Jayasuriya toured the festival.
To dig in deeper and maybe support our findings a little.
The German ambassador to Sri Lanka said that Germany has always been a friend of Sri Lanka.
Germany has been a true, reliable and supportive friend. We wish to see a successful Sri Lanka and most of all a prosperous Sri Lanka. To that end, we have put much effort and resources to Sri Lanka's development. I am very much looking forward to further contributing to strengthening our ties during my tenure as German ambassador.
The State Minister of Foreign Affairs also addressed the event.
Close engagement between our leaders over the years indicate the great importance attached to the highest political level in further developing our relations. The visit of President Ranil Wickremesinghe to Berlin in September this year and his meeting with Chancellor Olaf Scholz adds further impetus to our growing relationship. We hope that Germany will consider reciprocating this visit at similar levels in the near future. Germany has a strong connection with Sri Lanka's economy. We look forward to further expanding our economic ties as Sri Lanka gears towards an export-oriented economy.
The event also featured a number of performances to celebrate the 7-decade relations between the two countries. The event also offered an array of activities that captured the essence of Germany. The festival was an immense experience for attendees of all ages. Newsfirst, MTV Channel, TV1 and Sirasa TV were the media partners of the event.
The 60th day of the second leg of the LOLC DAVIA program was held yesterday.
Yesterday's program was held centering the Piliyandala and Homagam education zones. The LOLC team visited the Al-Amin Vidyalaya, Holy Rosary Roman Catholic Sinhala Vidyalaya, Sri Saddharmodaya Mahavidyalaya and the Thibirigasyaya Vidyatilaka Vidyalaya to distribute school essentials in the Piliyandala education zone. Another LOLC team visited the Methodist Vidyalaya, Harvard Vidyalaya, the St. Mary's Sinhala Vidyalaya and the St. Michael Vidyalaya to distribute exercise books and stationery items in the Homagam education zone. The LOLC DAVIA program is carried out with the support of the Ministry of Education and is sponsored by the LOLC Group.
Former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan's party Pakistan TehreekInsaf has elected a new head before the election.
Former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan, currently in jail facing what he says are more than 150 cases filed against him to keep him from contesting elections next year, has been replaced as head of the party he founded. One of Khan's lawyers was elected yesterday as chairman of his PTI party, allowing it to take part in the national vote scheduled for February 8th. Barrister Gohar Ali Khan was nominated by Imran Khan himself to be the new chairman of the PTI, which the 71-year-old cricketer turned politician founded in 1996. The two are not related. The party's chief election commissioner Niazullah Niazi said Gohar was elected unopposed.
Sri Lanka's youth scrabblers brought glory to the nation today with an astounding performance at the Vespa Youth Cup 2023 in Thailand, winning first, second and third places from among 142 players from 17 nations.
16-year-old Hivin Dilmit, 15-year-old Adisha Disanayake and 17-year-old Kavindu Malabarachi grabbed the top 3 places at the tournament held from the 1st to the 3rd of December in Thailand. It is the first time that a country has clinched all 3 top places in the history of the annual tournament, which began in 2006. Sri Lanka won several other titles as well. Adisha Disanayake was crowned World Under-16 champion, while Imad Irshad achieved the highest game score. Sri Lanka's 10-member team also won the coveted Best Team title for the 2nd consecutive year, which they had won at last year's tournament in Pakistan.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Theruni Karnaratna. Thank you very much for watching. Take care and good night.